Hello world, my name is Dree and I am the shooter editor for The Professor and all his travel videos. And today I have one of my favorite trips and one of my favorite edits that I've ever done, which was Dubai with The Professor back in December 2025. We went to do Red Bull Half Court and F1 during that time. And today I wanted to go through the edit I did for his YouTube channel, break down how I was able to do this 23-minute edit, how I organized it, how I multi-cammed it, and a little bit of behind the scenes of us shooting this thing, which ended up being one of my most favorite projects that I've ever done. So first things first, as always, we have the intro, which is by far the most important part of any YouTube video. I know for sure the professor loves having a really solid, captivating intro. So we definitely worked this one quite a bit. We had a lot of different versions of it. We wanted to see, what the video was gonna be about, what the main moments were. Was there anything that was viral worthy? Because the intro is the most important part of the edit. It's gonna decide whether the viewer keeps watching it or clicks off of it. So those first 10 to 30 seconds are super important. So that's why we like to have, like I said, a really captivating intro. And this one is just, showing the pandemonium of us being there in Dubai, here with the professor arriving and showing the big crowd. We wanted to immediately show him with security, people showing up all the way around, how it was whenever we got there, people pushing us and trying to ambush the professor. And then right after that, go straight into the trash talking, which ironically there wasn't a lot in this one. People were super friendly when we went, but there were still a few, trash talkers. We were able to pull this guy who said that he couldn't, the professor couldn't guard him. But yeah, basically the intro is just all the best moments from the whole video. And then the main piece, which was, we were trying to go for him going against this pro hooper that came all the way from Israel and was a pretty big dude, knew how to ball. This was actually the last game of the whole takeover. Then we go into the Professor Live bumper right here and straight into the actual intro of the video, which was super cool. We actually shot this at the Museum of the Future, right in front where we were staying from the Red Bull Half Court. We have Professor up here, up top, and we had a shooter down here, and I was right next to the professor. So we had the shooter do a crash zoom of Professor up here. Me and Professor, I was like crouched down right here, but we had Professor up here, and we thought this was like a great, captivating intro, like something as iconic as a Museum of the Future. And the reason why we were there was Red Bull Half Court actually had their tournament in front of the Museum of the Future. So that was like in the background, and we thought that was just like super cool. So we went up there and asked them if we were able to film. They had to ask a bunch of people, make sure it was okay. But thankfully one of the security guys was a huge Professor fan, and he was like, look, if you just do it within like 10 or 15 minutes, then we can just do it super quick. We don't have to get any permits and we can just be in and out. So we were able to shoot it like within 10 or 15 minutes and get this really cool, captivating intro for the beginning of this video. And then right after this, we go into more context of why he's here. We knew we wanted to do something short and then transition into another part of Dubai, which actually I wasn't even here for this one. I had to fly home early. So he hired a local shooter to do this in front of where this location was and do this intro piece to get, again, more context of what the video is gonna be, which is basically that we're out there with Red Bull and all that stuff.
I'm out here with Red Bull for the next couple of weeks, promoting the Half Court World Finals 3-on-3 tournament and the events leading up to it.
So we knew from the beginning that we did want to get this audio piece of him telling the context of what's about to happen. And thankfully while we're on site, we're able to do that. And that's another benefit of being a shooter editor. Whenever you're shooting for the edit. So everything that we did was pre-planned and it worked out perfectly. So now that story is established and the viewer knows what we're gonna watch, we go into the first storytelling vlog aspect of it, which can be hit or miss. Sometimes the viewer doesn't want to see that. Sometimes they just want to see basketball. They just want to see action. But certain people do want to see it. They want to see the stuff that goes on behind the scenes before the Park Takeovers, or what the professor is doing when he's not at these events. And during this time, we actually had a radio interview with one of Dubai's biggest radio personalities, which was Chris Fade. So we're able to go into the studio. We were able to meet him and do this radio interview, which was actually the very first thing that I filmed when I got there. Super cool to just be here and to meet Chris Fade and the team. We did fear it being kind of long. Like if you can tell, like this color here is the whole interview, and it does get pretty long. So we were worried about, viewer retention to make sure that people were gonna watch the whole thing. We try to just cut the main pieces of the interview into it. So with it being kind of long, we were just kind of worried that the viewers were going to want to watch the whole thing, but ultimately I think it ended up doing well there.
Dubai, we're headed.
So that was a transition piece from the radio interview to this next scene. Like I mentioned before, that's a positive of being on site as a shooter and editor, that I'm able to prompt these moments of him giving context of what we're about to do, because it helps transition these scenes of like, we're in one location, now we're in the other location, and he is able to tell the story while we're on site. We shot this piece afterwards, but I was able to put it beforehand where he's giving context of us shooting with Red Bull for the first time and then going with the content creators on the Red Bull half court.
You were close, I wouldn't have shot it. You were as close as you were.
This was a creator from Poland. We actually ended up doing like 4 or 5 creators, but not all of them are gonna make it into the video. So we really just try to find the ones that make the most sense. There were some comedy ones that, you know, was for their audience, but this one was more basketball related. So once we were done with the content creator piece, that same evening, we went to the LED half court, which where the final was gonna be, and we filmed some content there. Professor was actually going to unveil the court for the first time. Nobody had seen this court, so we got the first looks of it, and he was the first person to physically play on the court. So we went, filmed there at night. We had to walk from the hotel, which was like on this side, and we had to like go all the way around and walk to here. But again, it did give some time for us to shoot these audio pieces of, hey, what's about to happen? What are we doing? Because, you know, on site it's hard to get, you know, mixed up in the hustle and bustle of we got to move from here to there. We're going to be at this place at this time. So Professor counts on me to be able to stop him and be like, hey, let's shoot this audio piece. I mean, sometimes he tells me, but for the most part, he wants me in charge of, I need you to prompt me into telling these things so we can tell the story for the edit. So here we have him explaining what we're about to do, which was super cool. Like us being here was amazing. We got to, again, be on the court for the first time. There's only a select few people. I think the creators were able to go, but it wasn't open to the public. People hadn't seen it on social media. The first piece of social media content was the stuff that we filmed. So we were there scoping it out, checking it out, getting ready for tomorrow, which was the finals. So here's the part where we filmed the first piece of content for this LED court unveiling. I was on camera. Reno was on the iPhone, which ended up being the version that we posted. So after we filmed that piece of content for the LED half court, it officially was open to this creator tournament. That was all the creators that were there. They played against each other. I think it was like 4 teams with 4 celebrity coaches, and Professor was the coach for one of them. And ultimately, they ended up winning. It was just more for fun. It was like a dress rehearsal, basically, of the finals, which was the next day. And then once again, this outro piece. Even though the professor was losing his voice, I told him it's still really important for you to get this audio piece of us signing out of this day, transitioning into the new day. But for this edit, we are not including the finals until Dubai Part 2 because we had so much. So right after this piece, if you can tell here, everything's color coordinated. I have the intro here, and then the talking intro, and then the radio interview here, and then the creator stuff here, and then the LED half court unveiling here in purple, the creator cup in teal, and then going into the park takeover in green. And the reason why I like to do this is because I can physically see how much each event is taking up in the whole video. So if you see it as a whole, you see that this green is the majority of the video, which is the park takeover, which is the action, the basketball. So I didn't want to make this too long. So if you see here, the basketball starts roughly 9 minutes. So we have 9 minutes of, yes, it's basketball content, but it's not Professor playing basketball. So it's not as watchable. People really just want to see the basketball for the most part. So this color coordination does help me look at the bigger view of like, okay, here's my timeline. Here's what's taking up the most real estate on this video. I really just want to keep it proportionate. So if you, from at a glance, I think we're doing pretty good because most of the video is this green park takeover. So this is where we go through all the clips and find all the best audio stuff that is kind of prompting this park takeover, which in this case, we had a fan talk about the last park takeover that he did in UAE, which is Abu Dhabi, where the courts were shut down. And he mentioned that it's gonna be better than Abu Dhabi. Professor's like, what do you mean? Like better than, like Abu Dhabi was lit. But this is just great stuff of interaction with the fans that I really wanted to include, and then also kind of show that he's been in UAE recently and just kind of adds to just him going out to these places. We did that piece, and then while he was walking, he was like, hey, I'm gonna do an intro piece. So I was able to add this intro piece, just him walking to the court and people waiting for him. So it like he has the energy. It's not like we film it later and you know he's talking about his time there. This is actually on site and this is real raw emotion of him walking up to this park takeover. And this was my very first basketball park takeover that I've ever done in Dubai with a ton of people. It was a great turnout. And I was shooting with somebody I'd never met. I found somebody through Red Bull, Reno, shout out to my boy Reno. All these factors, I'm really nervous just going into it and just this new territory, making sure everything is shot well, making sure the settings are good, making sure the audio is coming in right, making sure I have the right angles, making sure I don't miss anything. All these things are kind of boiling in my brain. Mind you, I had just landed the night before. Like we landed, we did the radio interview, we rested, and then we did the park takeover. So all these things were happening and I was super nervous, but I was also really excited. I was excited to be able to film this and to showcase how great and how big it was. And it was. I think the turnout was great. I think we shot it really well. I think we were able to capture the essence of the park takeover. And I met a great friend in the process. Again, shout out to my boy Reno who shot it with me. But for every basketball sequence that I do with Professor, I do like to multicam, which I have pulled up here, because I had 3 cameras running. I had my FX3, I had the Osmo Pocket 3, and Reno was on the A7S III. So these cameras are running at the same time. So what I do is I multicam it. I have a different timeline of all the clips synced up here from the day. So I have my camera, Reno's camera, and then the Osmo that is mounted onto my camera for just another angle just in case. So I have all that stacked together, synced up, ready to go for multicam, which I'm able to pull in as just one clip. So I don't have to do all these different things. It becomes messy. I'm able to just do one thing. And then if I just go here, I'm able to just see everything right here in one area. So if I like this angle better, I can just click to it, it'll cut to it. If I like this angle better, I can click to it or cut to it. But multicamming these park takeovers have made it so efficient for me to edit. But yeah, that's what I like to use for any park takeover stuff is that multicam. So basically what I do is just find all the best clips for the park takeover. This one was really long because he wanted to give the fans something worthwhile. So he actually did quite a bit of games and we're able to film this park takeover, do all the interviews as well like he wanted. This actually was on site. He was telling, we weren't doing that naturally. He had to come up to us and be like, hey, we usually interview all these people. Like, this is my first time. So I was able to pivot, find all the people he played, get some interviews with them, get some good audio pieces of them talking about their times with the professor. I'm trying to prompt them to talk mess, talk trash, but all of them are such big fans that it's just great energy. We typically like a little bit of animosity for the content basically, but for this one, it was all love. It was just great to have everybody there. This is part of the intro where he faced the pro player, the Israeli pro player, and he beat him 5-4 after being down, I think 4-1 or something. And then as he's walking away, again, we're thinking of the edit and he does an outro piece of him thanking all the people from Dubai. It was crazy. I mean, there was people coming in all over the place as we're walking away, as we're trying to get into the car. It was really hard for us even to get in the car because there was just people swarming the car. And even while we were in there, they were like banging on the car and stuff. So, but yeah, this is Dubai Part 1. One of my favorite edits I've ever done and one of my favorite shoots I've ever been on. And it was such a blast editing and shooting it. And looking forward to many more trips and edits with Professor and many more videos like this explaining these edits that I've been doing. So if you like these, let me know. I'm planning on doing a few more Professor videos and then other edits that I've done. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.